Okay, today we continue with our class Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Start with Sefer Shmiras Haloshon. Today's topic, like from a fire. Anyone of even minimal intelligence should understand that one should flee as the trait of anger, like one would flee a fire. Okay, we learn about it. So anger is very dangerous, right? Flee like from a fire. He should realize that without a doubt, the tendency toward anger will ensure his condemnation in a day of judgment when he departs this world, right? Why? Because all of the outcome of the anger. Okay. One whose sins exceed his merits, deemed a rasha, wicked person. As our sages say, whoever is given to anger surely has more sins than merits. So that's a formula, guarantee, right? Sins than merit, as it is written in the Mishlei 29:22, and the master of anger has much sin. Okay. Okay, it says Nadarim 22b. So basically, what are they saying? That the person, first of all, we learn in Hilchas Teshuvah, who is a sinner, whoever has more sins than merits, right? So he's a sinner. So and plus we know that if somebody is angry person, whoever given to anger, for sure he has more sins than merits. Okay. The scripture term sin. Denotes a willful sin with intention to rebel against an angering God. The term is used here regarding the man of anger, because at the heat of rage one has total disregard for the Torah and mitzvahs. Okay, so on one hand we said who is that person, the one who sins intentionally. So for example, if he has access to kosher food, right, and he eats non-kosher intention, or he does not do some mitzvahs intention, right? So he does desecration Shabbos intentionally in the public. Okay, right, and they compare it to somebody, right? They compare it to the angry person. Right, because when he's angry, he's breaking things, he's saying stupid things, doing wrong things. Because why? He disregarded Torah and Mitzvah. Torah told him not to do it, do different things, but that's what anger is doing to him. Thus, do our sages state, whoever is given to anger has no regard even for divine presence, and whoever the person would curse, right, for sure. And whoever rips his clothing, smashes his vessels, or disperses his money in a fit of rage should be, in our eyes, as an idol worshiper. Right? Why? Because if he does all of these irrational things, which do not help his situation, so next thing you ask, are you going to go to serve idols? Okay, let's go. Right? That's a natural next step. Which verse alludes to this? There shall not be strange God within you. Tehillim 81:10. Which strange God is within body of the man? The evil trait of anger. Shabbos 105b. That's in. We have to train ourselves not to get angry. Prepared for a different situation. Even if this happened, I'm not going to get angry. Okay, so let's stop here. So continue this Kitzur. So we're on Siman 38, and our topic is bread, cooked food, and milk of an idolator. Okay, so see number 2. If Jew threw even just one piece of wood into the oven while it was being heated, The bread baked from the fire is permitted and is not considered bread of idolater. Okay, so let's read commentary and we're going to explain. By throwing a piece of wood into the fire or by participating in some of other part of the baking process, for example, stroking the fire, placing the bread inside the oven, the Jew demonstrates his awareness that the bread is of idolater is forbidden. This recognition itself accomplished the goal of having the Jew see himself as apart from idolaters and from their food. Okay. Yoredea 112.9, Levush, see there. Okay. See note 27, we're going to get to it. Note that the bread baked by idolater is forbidden even if it was baked under the supervision of the Jew. Okay, that's a different story we're going to get to. So basically we're talking about a Jew participating in the process of baking or cooking. So, I mean, they're talking about bread, but it's saying these other things. So if Jew, let's say he started the fire, he ignited the oven, and a non-Jew is continue the process. So let's say it does not need a supervision like in bread. So in bread, you need a lot of supervision, right? In meat, yes, you need supervision with cheese, with all of these milk products. Absolutely, you need supervision. So so when he is participating in cooking, right, where he can steer the food, whatever, put the pot on a stove and stuff like that. So he said, I understand. So in his behavior, he said, I understand that if I would not do that, the food would be forbidden. Because it was cooked by a non-Jew. Okay. Continue. The sages did not prohibit all bread baked by idolater. Not all, right? Rather, only that which made from 5 species of grain: wheat, barley, oats, spelt, and rye. So what does it mean? Just for us to understand. So other breads from other flours are not considered halachically bread, right? And we don't say hamotzi on them. Continue. So only one more time: from wheat, barley, oats, spelt, and rye. However, bread made from legumes, such as corn, is not considered bread. Okay. But before we continue, so even today when it says cornbread, you go to the store, they sell you cornbread. So in this cornbread is mostly wheat. So wheat. Just so we know, it's not corn is a part of it. So we have to check the ingredients. So if wheat is, I think it's majority. This bread is maybe in some countries. It's really 100% or I don't know, mostly corn. But here, where we live, it's not. This bread is also not prohibited, under prohibition against eating food cooked by an idolater, meaning from legumes, from corn. For it is not brought upon the table of royalty. So one of the things that we discussed, that what falls under the prohibition of cooked food or baked food, right? We said that something that is important enough to put on a table of royalty or on a wedding day. So most people are not going to put this cornbread on the table of royalty. It's like disrespect. Okay. So they say there is no problem with this bread. Commentary. Bread, and we're not talking about bread, we're talking about all the other foods as well. It's same halacha applies. Bread made of legumes is not forbidden under the category of bread of idolater because it is not classed as bread. Right? That's started from here, right? It's not classed as bread. Here, the Kitzur explained that it is also not forbidden under the category of foods cooked by idolater. So what I explained, it's actually this category. Food cooked by idolater. But second category, as we said before, this is not halachically a bread. Even though they call bread, okay, it's not bread. Because it does not fit for criteria of that prohibition either. Okay. The Kitzur writes below in CF6, in order to be prohibited as food cooked by idolater, the food must be sufficiently significant that it would be brought upon the royal table. A quality bread made of legumes, a quality that bread makes of legumes does not possess. Okay, meaning nobody is going to give royalty or like important person this kind of bread. Okay. So halacha number 4, bread whose surface is coated with eggs is prohibited under all circumstances because of the eggs that on top of it. Okay, so let's try to understand. So basically, all of this, I don't want to say all of this, but challah, when women do challah, they actually put the eggs, right? Like smear the eggs on top. So I'm not sure if they do it in for commercially baked bread. I mean, they might, but I don't know. Because so one more time, bread whose surface is coated with eggs is prohibited under all circumstances. So basically, it looks very nice, very like crispy and stuff like that. Very nice. And commentary: whether baked for use at home or be sold, even in a present circumstance. That's how stringent the halacha is. So the Kitzur always try to find us leniency, but here he said if it's smeared with bread with eggs, even the commercially baked bread, as we said last time, the condition relaxed, much more relaxed for commercially baked bread, because especially in the circumstances when there is no Jewish baker and stuff like that, right? We said that last time, but here, even when there is no Jewish baker, they say it's forbidden because of the eggs that are on top. Okay, for the eggs are the food cooked by idolater. So for sure, I mean, what they do, they do break the eggs, right? Mix it and smear on top. So, and of course, I mean, it was raw egg, and they put it on top, even the thin layer. That doesn't make any difference on top of this bread. So this egg cooked for sure, 100%. It's cooked. So commentary. The distinction between whether an item was homemade or baked by a baker does not apply to the prohibition against food that is cooked by idolater. So, and just to remind us, in the introduction of the last class, we said that bread is a separate category. Why is that? Right? Because it's staple food, like it's main food for especially up until maybe 100, maybe 50 years ago. I don't know how many years ago. Like it's most of the dinners, like people eat more. Most of the time it's bread accompanied by other foods, but bread was the main staple meal for sure, right? So that's why our sages said, okay, we're going to relax these things, these halachas for bread only, right? But not as the commentaries say, not for eggs, right? Not for other things, because you can cook it yourself. Probably because to bake bread you need more skills than to cook some eggs, let's say. Okay. The reason that the certain leniency is developed with regard to the bread of idolater is based upon the fact that bread is necessary. Okay, we said that. However, in regard to the prohibition against food cooked by idolater, there was no such difficulty, as only bread is considered critical to survival. So basically, so what Kitzur, beautiful sentence, right? What he's saying, okay, bread was critical to survive, you can eat bread without the eggs, right? Or you can go and cook eggs. To bake the bread, not everybody can, right? And usually it does not work from the first time. I mean, if you do it from the beginning with all of your own ingredients, right? But after 2 or 3 or 5 times, depends on the skills of the person, so they get the bread. But eggs, you can cook eggs. How can you not? Everybody is able to cook eggs, right? Or some other some other foods. So that's what they say. It was critical for survival. That's why they gave us some leniency. Therefore, food that was cooked by an idolater, even for commercial purposes, right, these eggs on top of the bread, is prohibited. In our case, even if the bread was baked for commercial purposes and would not be prohibited as a bread of idolater, the egg that is placed on top upon it is governed by the laws of the food cooked by an idolater, which prohibits even foods that are commercially prepared. Okay, so basically that's the thing. So bread is allowed, but the egg on top of it is not allowed. Bagels, so it's okay. So the note here says Rama 112.6 and Shach, same place, paragraph 17. Okay, bagels, although they are cooked before they've been baked, are nevertheless governed by the laws of bread of idolater, and are not prohibited as a cooked by the idolater. Igras Maishe, Yoradeya, okay, paragraph 33. So let's try to understand. So how do we do bagels? So they make a dough, and then they cook the dough, and then after it's cooked, they put it in the oven and bake it. And that's how they make bagels. So bagels. So on one hand, the person can say, "Oh, but it was cooked, and it is bread. Bagels 100% bread, and it was cooked. So maybe it should be forbidden, right?" But say no. It's only the first stage. The last stage of the preparation of the bagels is actually baking, 100% baking as a bread. So that's why it falls under the category of bread and not cooked food. Very interesting. So continue. Actually, let me start from the beginning so we have continuation. Bread whose surface is coated with eggs is prohibited under all circumstances. We explained it. Because the eggs that are on top of it. For the eggs are the food cooked by an idolater. We just explained it. Those wafers or pancakes that are baked upon iron griddle, in a situation when one must be concerned that perhaps the iron was smeared with non-kosher fat, also prohibited under all circumstances. For concern that they absorb forbidden fat. So let's read the commentary and we're going to explain. Even if these wafers or pancakes would not be included in prohibition against idolater's bread, they are prohibited in any event because they absorb the non-kosher fat that was smeared into the griddles. This concern does not exist with regard to the bread, as it is generally not baked upon the fat-coated surface. Okay, so let's try to understand. So if they do a wafers pancakes, so how do you do this? You have this like liquid batter, and you pour it on some surface, on a frying pan, on a griddle, as they say. So technically, if you don't use much oil or just a little smear, the oil on a surface, it's still considered as you baked, right? You're not necessarily obligated to bake only inside of the oven. You can bake on top of the stove, right? If you have only use only minimal amount of oil, right? So on one hand, This pancakes, it's 100% is bread. It's no doubt about it. And it's not mizonos, it's bread from motzi on one hand. On another hand, here we say that most of the time non-Jews would smear some fat, like pig fat, other fats, I mean, forbidden fats. Forget about pig fats. Even forbidden, not even. Even if it's like say cow fat or sheep fat, right? Let's say, but they were not slaughtered properly, so it is 100% forbidden. It's treifa, nevela. It's nevela. Okay. So even though, one more time, even though it is bread, because it was baked as a bread on one hand, on the other hand, it is prohibited because why? Because all of these forbidden tastes that got absorbed. That's the problem. Okay. Continue. Number 5. So technically, if this non-Jew, let's say, right, would cook in our kitchen and all of the utensils are kosher, so it would be allowed for us to eat that kind of bread. Let's say if we participate in the process, let's say we turn on the stove, or we turn on the the stove inside or on top, so we start the fire on top. It would be allowed since we participated in the process, and we know there is no forbidden fat. Okay. So halacha number 5. Bread of a Jew that was baked by idolater. For example, idolater baked a Jewish dough is dealt with more severely than a bread of an idolater, right? We would think otherwise. So if I gave him my dough to bake, right? So it should be no problem. It should be no problem, but it is a problem. As I say, even bigger problem. So let's try to understand what this bigger problem means. Right? So severely. So one more time, a bread of a Jew that was baked by an idolater. There is the idolater baked the Jewish dough. Is dealt with more severely than the bread of an idolater, and is prohibited under the injunction against food cooked by an idolater. Okay. Food cooked by an idolater. Okay. Continue. Unless the Jew had made an oven suitable for a baking permitted by throwing a piece of wood. So it's very interesting. So just because we gave him our dough does not mean that. I mean, on one hand, it shows that we participate in the process of baking, but it's not a process, right? We just give him like material. The process of baking, it's starting the fire and putting bread in the fire, like removing the bread from the fire, like doing something, like watching after the bread. So that's participation of baking. But just giving him dough, I mean, it does not say here, but logically, right? It's not considered to be participating in the baking. So one more time, and and prohibited under injunction against food cooked by idolater, right? Not the bread, but the food, unless Jew had an oven suitable for baking permitted a bread by throwing and a piece of wood. So that's the most the easiest thing, right, to do. Just to throw a piece of wood and that's it. So that's Ashkenazi custom. I think most of them, I'm not sure about all of them, but most of them, they go a little stricter opinion or a lot of stricter opinion. So they say that everything must be cooked by a Jew from the beginning to the end. Okay, I'm not sure if everybody abides by it, but I know the Sephardim that I learned with that in the area where they live. That's the rules. Okay, so commentary. As was explained in note 2, the leniency that developed with regard to the baker's bread is due to the great need for bread. Okay, and the excessive hardship that would be because by prohibiting it. I mean, you need a special oven to bake the bread. So that's another reason. I think so. To get a stove, there is not a problem, right? But to build an oven, that's requires special skills and maybe more money and this and that. So maybe for them it's not worth it. It's cheaper to buy. In the situation described in this Sefer, when the Jews already prepared the dough, it would hardly take an effort for him to bake it, right? So he did everything, but like, the way I understand, he does not have the stove, the oven, or at least to throw a piece of wood. The bread is therefore not governed by the leniency of bread of idolater. So in some sense, bread of idolater is a easier thing, but by the most stringent laws of food cooked by idolater. Okay. As we have seen in the previous year, food that is cooked by idolater is prohibited even if cooked only for commercial purposes. That's there is no exception. Okay. So 1 second, it was 16. Continue. And one must be careful about this when sending food to the baker sending food to be baked or roasted by a baker who is an idolater. Right. So since he has an oven, so please put my food into your oven. That's the problem, of course. To ensure that Jews throws a piece of wood into the oven, or that Jew places the bread or the frying pan onto the oven, like he has to do something. Commentary. See appendix of Kitzur editorial glosses, where he cites the ruling from the law 72:2 that the Jew who desecrates Shabbos publicly is legally equivalent to an idolater, and the food items he bakes or cooked are prohibited. See, however, Igras Moshe for a somewhat lenient position. Okay, so Kitzur says if somebody Michal Shabbos, so we cannot eat his food. Okay, continue. I mean, if he works for us, right? He's let's say a Jewish lady is working in our house, let's say, right? So if she cooks under my wife's supervision, so it would be no problem. Right? That's different. That's the leniency. Number 6. The next 7 seifim present the law of food cooked by idolater. So until now, we learned about bread by idolater, but here's food. Okay. Any food item that is not eaten in its raw state, and also that would be brought upon the table of the royalty as an accompaniment to the bread, or as an appetizer that was cooked or roasted by an idolater, even if it was cooked or roasted in a utensil of a Jew and in a Jewish house, is prohibited due to the injunction against eating food cooked by an idolater. So let's do it from the beginning. There are many commentaries, and we're going to explain. Any food item that is not eaten in a raw state, like meat, fish, right, potatoes, I guess, right? So it would not, for example, not apply to carrots. Carrots or apples. People eat apples, so baked apple would not be a problem according to this. But let's see. Any food item that is not eaten in the raw state, and also that would be brought upon the table of the royalty. Commentary. Most authorities maintain that this criteria, that the food is not eaten raw and would not be brought upon the table of the king, vary according to time and place. Okay, so kings eat different things. Okay, thus, even if food was once brought upon the table of royalty, if another day and age it is not served at the royal meal, then at the later time it would not be included in prohibition and would be permitted if cooked by idolater. So that's the thing. So it goes according to times, right? So whatever this royalty eats. Okay. Similarly, if someone, and I guess also depends on country, from country to country, right? Similarly, if some countries fish is eaten raw, but in other fish is eaten only when cooked, then in the former countries fish is not included in the prohibition. Right? Meaning what? If a non-Jew cooked it, you can eat it. If they also can eat the fish raw. I'm not sure if all the fish you can eat raw. I'm not sure. I think only some fish. But in the later, it would be prohibited, right? So in a country when it is people eat fish raw and non-Jew cooked, no problem, you can eat it. But in a country when they don't eat raw fish, right? So this if non-Jew cooked it, so it is prohibited. Okay. So, and of course, fish is one of the dishes that people would put on a royal table for sure. Okay, so one more time. And also that would be brought upon the table of royalty as accompaniment to bread or as an appetizer, right? That was cooked or roasted by idolater. Commentary. The prohibition includes baked or fried foods as well, but not smoked or pickled foods. Okay. Very interesting. So smoked and pickled foods are excluded. Smoked and pickled foods. Rashi Avodah Zarah 38a, Shulchan Aruch, Rama, Yoredea 113. So looks like in some sense, I mean, for the purpose of this halacha, pickling is not considered to be cooking, even for the laws of Shabbos it is, right? And smoking is also not considered to be cooking for the purpose of this halacha. Okay. So one more time, is accompanied by bread or eaten as an appetizer that was cooked or roasted. And then commentary also said baked or fried. I mean, that's also included by an idolater. Even if it was cooked or roasted in a utensil of the Jew and the house of the Jew. Commentary. So, I mean, the Jew anyway has to participate in the process. As explained in the introduction of this Siman, the prohibition against the bread, cooked and cooked food of an idolater were enacted to prevent unwanted relationships with idolaters, and could lead to intermarriage. An additional reason cited that pertains more exclusively to the food cooked by idolater is concerned that Jew might be served non-kosher food. Although neither of this reason would apply to food cooked in the house of the Jew, the food is prohibited in any case. So, as we understand, there is no problem, right? This non-Jewish lady, she cooked in my house with using only my ingredients, my everything, right? My pots and pans. So what could go wrong, right? But they say no, they're not going to differentiate between this and she cooked in her own house. Okay, so maybe she cooked in a brand new pot. Okay, does not make a difference. So we say it is prohibited. So it is prohibited due to the injunction eating food cooked by an idolater. Okay, so even they cooked in our house with our utensils. So we have to understand that in many Jewish restaurants or catering halls, most of the workers are not Jewish. So how is it possible, right? So why? Because we need supervision. That's why we need mashgiach. If there is somebody supervising every step, he's not only supervising, he also does some parts of cooking also. I think he's checking the vegetables and other things. He would not entrust to anybody, I hope. However, something that is eaten even in a raw state, or something that is not significant, which there would not be brought up on the table of the kings, even if cooked by an idolater, is not included in the prohibition against food cooked by an idolater and may be eaten. In these cases, one may eat food prepared by idolater, even if prepared with his own utensils, and there is no need for concern, because the utensil that maybe absorb the taste of non-kosher food and infuse with the taste into the food, as utensils of unknown status are not assumed to be within a day of the previous time they were used. Okay, it's a lot of information. Baruch Hashem, in a few lines, a lot of information. So it's the people ask, how come you only in CF 37 if you already have 100 classes? That's a good question. Kitzur is not. It says Kitzur. I mean, it's a very concise, but it's still a lot of information. Okay, so let's see. So this sentence from the beginning with all the context. However, something that is eaten even in a raw state, so commentary, if food is eaten when raw, the cooking is considered insignificant. When prohibiting the food cooked by idolater, the sages included only those foods whose cooking is significant part of preparation. Significant part of preparation. Even if its preparation requires that it be mixed with other ingredients, it does not require cooking. It is not included in the prohibition. Mishnah Brura, 3:11. Okay, so they say even I don't have any examples. Maybe carrots. Apples do maybe sometimes they add the apple to the they bake a goose with the apples inside, I think, right? So those apples, I guess, those apples are not required to actually cook it. So if non-Jew did it, so you can technically eat them. Okay. So one more time. However, something that is eaten even in a raw state, as we said, these apples or carrots, or something that is not significant, which therefore would not be brought upon the table of the kings. Okay. Commentary: since one generally would not serve such a food to a guest, there is no concern that partaking of such a food cooked by a daughter would lead to unwanted socializing, right? Beis Yosef Yerodaya 113. So one of the reason, or the main reason of this prohibition of the foods baked by a non-Jew, we said that eating together would bring the socializing, right? Eating at one table, visiting each other. So that's would be an issue. So, but nobody serves carrots, I guess, right? Unless crazy people, right? So baby carrots. So let's eat carrots. Come and we're going to eat cabbage, right, and carrots. Usually people don't do that. So that's why even the cooked by adultery is not included against prohibition against cooked food cooked by idolator and may be eaten. So if cooked carrots, you can eat them. In these cases, one may eat food prepared by idolater, even prepared with his own utensils. So that's very interesting insight. So let's read this commentary, and we're going to explain. So the Kitzur is saying, okay, so if they're going to eat, as we give example before, in my house, she cooked in my house with all of my ingredients and my pots and pans. Okay, that's understandable, right? But if she cooked in your house, how it would be permitted for me, right? Let's say she cooked carrots. Okay, so what is we're going to explain now? As long as one is sure that all of the ingredients are kosher. However, there are other factors involved that can easily change the ruling in a specific case. It is therefore imperative that one consult halakhic authority each time such a question arises. So, I mean, of course, it could be non-kosher ingredients. It's not like she only boiled the carrots and that's it, right? Maybe she put it in she cooked it in a broth. That would be in a soup, right? That would be an issue. Okay. Okay, so we said so one more time the whole sentence. In these cases, one may eat food prepared by an idolater, even if prepared with his own utensil. So she used her own utensil, and it is permitted. Why? Right? It's strange, but explanation. And there is no need for concern because of utensil that may have absorbed the taste of non-kosher food and infused the taste into the food. So of course, if she would cook pig in that pot and then cooked our carrots, so of course our carrots get the food, the taste of the pig, right? So, but so how come we were not careful about it, right? So that's the question. So we said we're not concerned. Why? Commentary. There is presumably this utensil were used for cooking non-kosher food and absorb non-kosher taste. Okay, I mean, okay. The concern would then be that when kosher food is cooked in them, they would impart some of the taste into the food and then render it unkosher. Okay, I mean, that's logically understandable. They cooked pig, now she's cooking carrots for me. Guess what? This flavor of the pig is going to the carrots for sure. Why? The answer to our question: as utensil unknown status are not assumed to be within the day of the previous time they were used. So there's some there is a thing in the halacha. It's called ben yomo. Ben yomo, it means within a day, within the 24 hours. So even if it's clean and it was used in a period of 24 hours, we said that taste is important and it can go into another food that you cook in within this 24 hours. But after 24 hours, they say that, of course, if pot is clean, right? They say there is no, the taste is not as strong, and it's basically not as strong and not the original taste. So let's see. There is one more commentary. Non-kosher taste is absorbed within the utensil. Is considered spoiled. So they use the word spoiled after 24-hour period. If non-kosher taste that is deemed spoiled enters kosher food, for example, the way of cooking with such a utensil, it does not render it forbidden. So technically, okay, we don't do it, but technically, you can cook meat, right? Wait 24 hours and cook milk in the same utensil. Technically, we don't do it. Initially, however, it is prohibited for one to use utensil that have absorbed non-kosher food even after 24 hours. That's why we kosher utensils, right? have passed. Since the absence of the definitive knowledge, we may rely on the assumption that the utensil that was used to prepare the food was not used in the previous 24 hours. Any food prepared by a idolater within those utensils is permitted. Right? So basically, they cook the food. So let's say we assume that this person, this non-Jew who cooks for us, has many pots and pans. So they did not use this specific pot for 24 hours, right? So since we don't have definite knowledge, we say most likely not. Okay. So wherever they cook they say that the flavor actually spoiled. So spoiled flavor is not considered to be flavor, but initially I think rabbinically it's still forbidden. Okay. But forbidden meaning they say that the flavor still goes into the food. I mean, the food is forbidden, allowed after the fact, but that's not what we do initially. Number 7, regarding an idolatrous maidservant in the house of a Jew who cooks for a Jew that resides there, the custom is to be lenient. Okay. For it is impossible that not even single Jewish household member will stroke the fire at some point, right? So maybe like everybody is trying to help with cooking, right? Okay, let's see one more time these commentaries regarding the idolatrous maidservant in the house of the Jew who cooks for the Jews that reside there. The custom is to be lenient. Commentary. Bach, beginning Siman 113, writes that in this case one must walk in and walk out of the room to ensure that the maidservant does not put non-kosher food into the pot. So I mean, we trust you, but we don't. Meaning what? Periodically we have to go into the kitchen and see what's going on. One may not allow such a housekeeper to be alone in one's home, where there is a concern that she may cook in the kitchen and cause utensils to become forbidden by cooking prohibited foods, or milk and meat together. So, definitely, what's the problem? They left her alone in the house. Okay, she said, okay, they're gone, Baruch HaShem, or whatever she said, so I'm going to cook whatever I like. And they're never going to find out. Guess what? She can do that. So that's the problem. One may not allow such a housekeeper to be alone. Okay. It is impossible. So let's read the sentence one more time. Regarding the idolatrous maidservant in the house of a Jew who cooks for the Jews that reside there, the custom is to be lenient, for it is impossible that not even single Jewish household member will stroke a fire at some point. Commentary. As we have seen in CF2, the prohibition against bread baked by idolater does not apply when Jew participated in the baking. There is such as by adding a piece of wood to the fire. This leniency applies also to prohibition against food cooked by idolater, right? As we said. For this reason, one may partake the food cooked by idolatrous maidservant, since we assume that one of the Jewish residents of the home will have at least stroked the flame, right? Did some like today's may make it lower, may make it bigger, open the lid, maybe stir it a little. So that would be one of these things. Note that the leniency applies in those places where the fire in the oven is lit most of the day and continues being stroked. Okay. Nowadays, however, the gas ranges and electronic ignitions of the flame. This leniency regarding idolatrous maidservant in Jewish home does not apply. Why? Because okay, she's not going to leave the fire forever. So in olden days, they would not extinguish the fire completely. The fire would continue burning the whole day, I guess, especially in the winter, right? So here, when she cooked breakfast, now she turned off the stove, and now she wants to turn on. That's the problem. That's the problem, because it's like separate act of cooking. So even though whatever she did in the morning when we started the fire is allowed, but now it is not, according to this. Okay, so let's see if we can do one more. Number 8. However, if she, the idolatrous maidservant, is cooking for herself alone, it is not common for the Jews to stroke the fire. Okay. I mean, okay, she can cook for herself, there is no problem. Moreover, it is possible that the stroking will not be effective to make the food permitted in this case. For this situation is worse than when she cooked for a Jew. Of course, I mean, if so, the situation now, if she cooks for herself, if we allow on our kitchen, if we allow to eat of that food, right? They say, of course, the situation is much worse than when she was cooking for us. When she was cooking for us, so she would be afraid. We told her 17 times not to do this and not to do that. But for herself, I mean, she can do whatever she wants. So just because we did something to the fire, it's not going to help for us to eat the food. Commentary. Some authorities maintain that even if the Jew stroked the fire, the food is permitted only because the maid was cooking as a part of her service to her employer. So maybe I mean she cooked it for herself, but it's like part of that's her general obligation. That's what the sentence means, right? So she has to cook for the whole family and for herself. I mean, she's like the food is included in her like payment. According to this view, in the situation where she was cooking for herself, the food would not be permitted, even if there was certain, if we were certain, the Jew struck the flame. Okay, so but if she cooked for herself, so just leave it alone because I don't know what she did. Therefore, if she cooked food items that included the prohibition against food cooked by an idolater, right? They were not even raw, and they are not eaten raw, and would be brought to the table or upon the table of royalty. Not only will the food that was cooked be prohibited, but the pot that she used also become prohibited to cook in initially. After the fact, that is, if Jew did cook in a pot after the maid cooked in it for herself, one should consult competent halakhic authorities about the status of the food cooked in a pot by the Jew. That's it's a big issue to have such a help. But let's see one more time this piece with commentaries. Therefore, if she cooked food items that included prohibition, so she cooked piece of meat, right, against food cooked by idolaters, they are not eaten raw and would be brought upon the table of a piece of meat. Not only will the food that was cooked is prohibited because we did not participate, right? For prohibited, but the pot that she used also becomes prohibited to cook in initially, right? So why? Commentary. Prohibited food that was cooked become absorbed in the walls of the pot that was used, and transmitted into the food that later cooked in that pot, causing the food to become prohibited as well. Therefore, the pot must be properly purged of a non-kosher taste that it absorbed. So we mean to kosher it, right? Purge. That's what it means. The procedure of purging is described below in Siman 116. Okay, we're going to get to it. With regard to the utensil, absorb the taste of food cooked by idolater. There are a number of possible leniencies regarding this procedure. See Mishnah Brura, 328, see Regrettably, 113, 16. Okay, see Shah. So technically, what are we saying here? Let's try to understand. So what we're saying here, the problem is food forbidden to us. Okay, this piece of meat, wherever she cooked for herself, it is forbidden. So now they say, even initially, they said even if the pot was standing more than 24 hours, so she cooked, and even after 24 hours, they say that, of course, as we explained before, the taste got absorbed into the walls of the pot while cooking. Okay, you washed it, no problem, and then it's going to give away this taste to the next food, right? So they say that the pot is prohibited and must be kosher. Okay. Continue. After the fact, if the Jew did cook in a pot, after the maid cooked it for herself, one should consult competent halakhic authority about status of the food cooked in a pot by a Jew. So, okay, so this Jew did not kosher the pot, right? Even we're talking about after 24 hours. He did not. So now he cooked the food. So the question whether the food is permitted. Okay, that's the question. Okay, so let's see how much time we have for one more. Let's see how long is it. Oh, it's not long. Okay, so we can finish. So number 9. If idolater cooked on Shabbos for one who is ill, the cooked food is prohibited at the close of Shabbos, even for one who is ill. It is possible to feed him, if it is possible to feed him other cooked foods. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says. One more time, and we're going to explain. If idolater cooked food for one who is ill, the way I understand, this person was not critically ill. It's not like his life was in danger, but he was ill, but his life was not in danger. It's a second category, right? As we learned in our class Laws of Shabbos. The cooked food is prohibited at the close of Shabbos. So why is it prohibited? Let's see. Even for one who is ill. So even for him, why? Okay, let's see. It is if it is possible to feed him other foods cooked, right? So if there is no other food and he's a sick person, it was during the Shabbos, now he's a sick person, so we say we can feed him this food. Commentary. Even if there's no other food. Generally, even if one who has fallen ill and his life is not in danger, exactly as we said, right, may not eat non-kosher food, even that which prohibited rabbinically. So if life is not in danger, if person's life is in danger, so of course he's allowed to eat non-kosher food and other forbidden foods. There is no problem, even Torah forbidden foods. In contrast, foods cooked by idolater may be eaten by ill person if he cannot obtain the food cooked by a Jew, right? But life is not in danger. It's second category. The reason for this difference is that food cooked by idolater is not intrinsically non-kosher, right? It is forbidden only because of the person who prepared it. So the food is no problem, but problem is the one who prepared it. Thus on Shabbos, when the food cannot be cooked by a Jew, an ill person may eat food cooked by idolater. However, he may eat that food only as long as the other food is not available. That's the thing. That's the key part. After Shabbos, when a Jew can again cook for him, because the Shabbos ended, he may no longer eat the food cooked by idolater. So what we're saying here that so the problem was that Jew was not able to cook, right? So but if it would be if this person would be critically ill, his life was in danger, right? So that's a different story. Even Jew can cook for him. So even the Jew could cook for him. So in this case, so it would be allowed after Shabbos. See Pri Chadash, Yeridea 113:26. As to the utensil, they are permitted for the use after 24 hours. So let's see. Commentary. Okay. In this situation, the number of halachic factors coincide to allow this leniency. In brief, number one, the food was cooked on Shabbos for an ill person, so that's one leniency. Number two, the issue is only one to absorb taste, right? Meaning that there's no substance, meaning that we washed it. That's what number two means. Number three, 24 hours passed since the taste was absorbed. Okay. Some authorities hold, however, that these utensils do need to be purged after the idolater cooked in them. Still other are even more lenient than Kitzur. Still other more lenient than Kitzur, and hold that one may use this utensil without purging even within 24 hours, since everything, as we said, was kosher. According to Mishnah Brura 3:28-63, there is sufficient basis for one who wishes to rely on this opinion to do so. Right? So meaning if this non-Jew cooked for this sick person, so maybe, so according to Mishnah Brura and others, you're not obligated to kosher all of the utensils. So we can stop here, I guess. So safe number 10. Any questions? Please go ahead. Okay. No problem. If no questions, so until tomorrow, Beezrat HaShem, same time. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.